content that you guys were doing on social media, which is impressive. So really, I know how much work that is. So thank you so much, and it's quite an honor to be part of this program and speaking to the students at Phoenix. And I saw you call it a Phoenix Friday. So happy Phoenix Friday, everybody. Really grateful to be here.
I'm glad it is. I call it Phoenix Fridays on the letters. I don't usually say that. Maybe today I'm in a really good mood because I'm going to go do my lashes. If you guys can see, I have lashes missing in between. So, but yeah, Delfino, if you're ready to kick off, ready to just give us some knowledge. And today we'll be looking at cultivating a growth mindset. And I felt this was very important to dive into because on a daily basis, we are faced with challenges, good things and bad things. And it's important that we have a good mindset when it comes to overcoming those challenges and achieving goals. And this is very important for academic success. So this is why I felt like this was a great topic to touch on and that you would be amazing to touch on this topic. So let me stop talking and hand over to you. Yeah.
All right, Seko. Thank you. Thank you so much again. Everybody, it's such an honor to be here. And as Seko has introduced me, I am Delfino, and I really love speaking to young people across our continent, particularly here in South Africa. And I'm glad that today I'm speaking to some of the brightest young minds in our country, and I'm really looking forward to engaging. I really enjoy it because I believe that our continent is really at a special time, and the young people who are you and me, I still fall under the youth bracket. So you and me really have a lot of work to do to transform our country, to our continent, and also our families at a more nuclear level. And I really enjoy having this type of engagements. Today, though it's online, it's an online masterclass. I can't really see you. I can't really hear you, but I'm really enjoying engaging with you. Hopefully soon we're going to meet in person. So first, just by introduction, I'm Delfino. I am a husband of one wife and a dad to one little beautiful girl. Her name is Ruarashe. So you forgive me if I throw in my dad jokes, though I can't hear you boo or laugh, so I'm safe for now. So really looking forward to chatting with you. So I think, I'm not sure, Tseho, I really just want to check if everybody knows what a growth mindset is. I think we maybe we could do a quick poll just to hear, do people actually know what a growth mindset is before we start?
Sure. And just before we kick off with the poll, if you guys have any questions, sorry we can't bring you up to speak, but in the activity section, there is a Q&A section where you guys can type in your questions. So while Delfino's speaking, while I'm speaking, if you have any questions, please do type them in. I did also put in the comments if you wanting to refer back to something, but just go in the activity section and just ask whatever question that you have. And like Delfino said, do you know what a growth mindset is? Because I think every day we get used to like these key trigger words being thrown at us, and you're just kind of like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do now. But I hope, do you know what a growth mindset is? Just keep a lookout on your screen. I'll be sending out a poll now. So just answer yes or no. Do you know what a growth mindset is? Delfino, you can continue while I put out the poll.
Okay, perfect. I guess while the poll is going, I always love to start with this story. So there's a lady that was born in a very rural village in Zimbabwe, in the Midlands of Zimbabwe. And if you don't know Zimbabwe well, I will explain it quite a bit. So Zimbabwe's got obviously the different provinces, but in the middle there's quite a very rural area called Chirumanzu. If you've never heard it, this is your first time hearing it today. I'll say it again for those at the back, Chirumanzu. And this lady was born to, both her parents were not educated. Her father was a manual laborer at a construction site in the near mining town. And this young girl, she was very short in stature. But she knew that growing up in a village like that, as you can see, that homestead, her only opportunity out of that, her mother couldn't write her own name. But what they did is they were able to take her to school. And she grew up in a time where you had to pay fees. If you don't pay fees, you're chucked out of school. And she endured years of that. So imagine you're in primary school, high school, halfway through a math class, the principal comes with a list of names and calls people out. She would always be called out and say, go home. You didn't pay your fees. And as she went into high school, she had one pair of shoes that was torn at the back, and she kind of had to be innovative with how she walked, because you can't walk properly with a torn shoe, and she would drag her feet. And you know how young people are. Young people can be quite mean. They say what they see with very little emotional consideration. And they used to laugh at her. She was short, they were coming from a poor home. But this lady determined in her heart that the only opportunity that I have is my education. That's all I have. And she worked hard. Though she would be chased out of school, she would be first in a class in a time where young girls were not supposed to be in school, actually. And people were saying, why are you even bothering? Stay at home, get married, find yourself a husband, go work somewhere in the farms. But she persevered, and high school, she passed, went into her matric, she passed, and she went into the University of Zimbabwe, where she studied BSc in Maths and Statistics, at a time where very few ladies were going into that kind of an industry. And she did that, and she passed with a first class, which is distinction. We call it cum laude in South Africa, right? And she passed with that. And she went into a field called actuarial science, and she qualified as an actuarial scientist in Zimbabwe, the second woman in the country, second Black woman specifically, to be an actuarial scientist in Zimbabwe. And she migrated when Zimbabwe's economy was very difficult, migrated to come to South Africa, where she has been working at one of the financial institutions, leading the actuarial departments on pricing and trade unions and all those kind of things that I failed to understand myself. As she has continued to grow, and even as she has qualified as an actuary, she has even done an MBA at the University of Wits, and she's been studying continuously, and she's in real estate. She owns a couple of properties here in South Africa, in Joburg, back home where she's from in Zimbabwe. And for me, where she has come from, that girl that was being ridiculed, being poor, being short, coming from a house that couldn't afford fees, and now she's an actuary that's in a very successful company and leading a team of actuarial scientists, and being a real estate investor. I see that as a strong story of what a growth mindset is. And I've been fortunate enough to have very close proximity to this lady, because this lady is my mother. And I have had a couple of years, so I am how old? 33, so 33 years of having a front seat of what it means to not have your background determine where you go in life. I am a product of her persevering and choosing to be better each day. I personally am a product of choosing not to be held down by the society's perceptions on what it means, who you are as a woman, who you are as someone that comes from a rural community in a place that is really unknown. So for me, that really speaks what a growth mindset is. And I'm going to delve a bit further as we have a chat, as we break it down. But maybe before I continue, let's see, are the poll results out, Sekho? I just want to see where we are.
There's a few people that have answered. I challenge you that if you haven't said yes or no, that would be lacquer. So we actually tied. There's 8 votes, four for yes, 4 for no. Now 5. Now 5
Okay.
for yes, 4 for no. So
All right.
more than half, according to the votes, to the people that answered. I challenge you to answer if you don't want to answer. I know we can be introverted, but guys, it's Phoenix Friday. So I think from just seeing that people want to understand like what is a growth mindset. And I think also people that already know, and just from that inspiring story from your parents, it's important to see like, well, these are the examples in our lives of a growth mindset, and maybe this is something that we can follow.
No, absolutely. So because I'm speaking to smart people who are in varsity, I need to bring some academic backed context, right? So there's a very well-known psychologist, professor, and academic in the States, and her name is Carol Dweck. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. And she defines the growth mindset as believing that skills and intelligence encompass about capability can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and collaboration. So working together, because you cannot do a lot in isolation. And then there's another definition, which is a mixture of what multiple people speak about when they define a fixed mindset, which is a dogmatic belief that you're born with a finite set of skills and intelligence. Like those people that will say, listen, this is not for me. I can't do this. I'm not meant to do maths. I know maths is usually a struggle for a lot of us, especially first year. I don't know why most of the programs that we do, they always have to throw in maths in the beginning, and it's a big stress for a number of us. And the difference is a person with a growth mindset would then take that maths, which is scary, which is difficult, and say, I am going to try it. The opposite is you then remove yourself from the maths. You then say, I can't do this because that's not my thing. I prefer languages. I prefer writing. I prefer whatever it is that you prefer. This I'm not going to do, which is important to know your skills, to know where your strengths lie. But also, what about if there is something within you that can be unlocked with trying something new? And I've got this mind map, literally and figuratively, that the Harvard Business School has developed that sort of draws a midsection with what a growth mindset is and a fixed mindset is. And I'm sure a lot of us, some of us have already spoken about knowing what it is. I'll just blow it up a bit on my side here and speak to. So I'll start on the side, which is the fixed mindset. So someone who avoids challenges. You see a challenge, you go left, you go U-turn. Not my monkey, not my circus. I'm not going to try this. And I think it's a psychological place. It's a mindset that if I see this hurdle, for me, I'm not going to try. I'm just going to be chilled here, not going to move. And you don't accept failures or mistakes. Sometimes you feel like, should I really do this? What if I fall? What if I fail? Should I try it? If I fail, what am I going to think? What are people going to say? Or what's the colloquial language? Abantu bazothini. What will people say? And you get stuck in that mindset of then you don't try, you don't get out of that mental space, which can end up being a hole in a very dark place. And the people that also believe that talent is static, that what I am born with, the skills I am born with, is what I am going to die with. That's all I can do. That's all I can be. What I am currently is all I will forever be, which is a really sad space. And Miles Monroe was a very favorite author, the late and speaker of mine, who says, the graveyard is one of the richest places in the world, where in it, there are books that could have been written that were buried and never written. There were songs that could have been sang, recorded, that were buried with people because some people felt this is not my type of vibe. There's a lot of potential that's buried in the graveyard because people believe that this is all I am and this is all I'll forever be. And they won't try out new things. They shy away. Something that is new and trendy. I'm sure a lot of us, when AI started, right, artificial intelligence, there was still up until now, people that are saying it's coming to take our jobs, it's coming to take over, it's coming, oh no. And as you can see, AI is really the next big thing. But if you're not going to get involved, you're not going to try that new thing or find your niche in that where the world is going, you might be left behind. Then on the contrary, which I am going to be speaking about quite a lot as we break this down, someone with now a growth mindset, they see challenges as an opportunity. When I recruit people, I do a lot of interviews in my role, and one of the things I usually do is I give people impossible questions. I ask you to measure the length of a building in a place you might not be in. I ask you to give me the length of a street, N1. How long is N1? And I can test in there. There's a person who will tell you already, listen, I don't know. And they already sound defeated, look defeated, and the entire interview becomes problematic for them. But there's a person that will answer and say, listen, I'm not sure, but we can find out. I'm not sure, but I'm willing to learn. So every challenge is an opportunity for you. And it's that mindset shift of seeing that opportunity that I can learn from this, I can be better after this. And people that embrace constructive feedback. A lot of the times when somebody comes and says, listen, I didn't really like the way that you spoke to me today. You made me feel X, Y, and Z. And you're triggered. You automatically go in a very defensive way. Like, I say that because you're the one that started. I say that because you did yada yada fish cake. But you're not listening to the feedback that you're getting, which can help you to become a better person. And I'm going to break down further what I strongly believe is I have to be better than I was yesterday as a person. And learning from failure. Henry Ford speaks about failure, I'll paraphrase it, failure is the best because it teaches us to try again more intelligently. Because now you know, I tried this the other time and this is what I did, but now I can try this angle. So looking at failure and growing from it, but not just your own failures, but also looking at other people's failures and learning from that. Because I think one of the things which frustrates me frustrates me about me also is we have this sheep mentality. We can see that this person made this mistake and they failed, but you also do the same thing and fail without trying a different route. It happens sometimes. And I love that there are people who are here. I'm not sure how many you are. I see 61 on this call. And the really important thing is you believe in skills development. You really believe that you can be better. And I'm glad that you guys are here because you believe these master classes can make you a better person. And that for me encompasses what the two different contexts or concepts of a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So the next question you might ask is, how exactly do I get a growth mindset? And I think there's a lot that you can do, but I want to focus on three things today, and then we're going to open up and have a question and answer session. I've already touched on some of these, but I'll go slightly deeper. So the three things, the first thing is the constant pursuit to be better than yesterday. The second one is being comfortable in discomfort, in those uncomfortable situations, and being comfortable with failure. And thirdly, which I think is really important, is you're selective about your circle, the people that you keep close to you. So let's get a little bit deeper on the first one, around the constant pursuit to be better than yesterday. So as a business person, I'm sure some of you are doing commerce subjects. You have done the concept of Kaizen in operational management, which is a Japanese philosophy that speaks about small incremental improvements in processes. So if I'm a business, I'm making African bags that's got shwe material, I need to make sure the first batch of bags that I make gets better on the second, gets better on the third. But after the time that I've done 100 iterations of that bag, it should be a higher quality. Because every time I make a product, we review it, we look at the quality assurance process. I ask myself the question, what can we do better? Is it the colors? Is it the stitching? Is it the machinery? Is it what can we do better? And constantly doing and fixing that process. And I think in our lives, we can also approach that. We're students here, and we're always doing continuous assessments. We write tests, temp tests, and I know it's October, end of October, and we're getting into exam period. And we have had an entire year or an entire semester of feedback from your lecturers on the work that you have done. It's important to learn after every test. What is it that I did? Was it because I didn't study enough? And I know most of us are guilty of wanting to study the night before. I was too, right? And the question is, why do I continue to do that for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years and not fix it? That's why we're here, because that's what growth is about, right? And then I really love, I use stories and analogies in the talks I make. And I think in sports, Kaizen is a significant and important element that sporting teams and team structure and management, what they use. And I love Rassie, 2 World Cup winning coach, record breaker, mastermind in the game of rugby. If you know rugby, I really love the way that he thinks. And when Rassie took over in 2016, 2017 with the Springboks, we were coming out of a time when the Springboks were not playing really well. We had just lost in the previous World Cup to Japan, guys, to Japan. And there was this negative energy around the Springboks. And there was this concept around transformation, bringing black colored people into the Springbok setup. And it was a touchy subject. And what Rassie did each and every year, he brought in new talent, young people. He brought in new systems into the squad and how they tried things out. And they paid attention to the detail. After every game on a Monday, they sit down and analysis of the game. They have video analysis. They break down the statistics. They break down each and every person's performance. They break down what every person has been doing on the pitch for 80 minutes. And what are the results? 2-time World Cup winning coach. He has taken the Springboks team to be one of the best teams to ever play rugby in a very long time. And the world is learning. He's pushing world rugby. I'm sorry if you're not a sport fanatic. I'm a very big sport fanatic. He has pushed world rugby to change some of the rules because he is at the borderline each and every time trying new things. And I think that mindset is critical in how we live our lives. So the growth mindset recognizes that one can make the intentional decision to be on that Kaizen journey. To say, holistically, I need to be physically better, mentally better, spiritually better, financially underlined, because sometimes we make very interesting decisions. I'm looking for the adjective. And why is it that every single month, if you're starting to earn an income, because you guys are going to start working soon, why is it that over 70%, there's a study that Standard Bank did, and they were saying close to 60% of salaried people that get a salary on the 25th, on the 30th, the last week before payday, everybody has got less than 1,000 rand in their account. Whether they're earning 80,000, 100K, there's just this element of mismanagement of finances. But you and I need to reflect, what should I do better to make sure that I don't fall into the same trap every time? Physically, we all understand that the constant gym session, a 15-minute run, physical movement, is better than an intense 2-hour session every month. So it's those small, little, minute details in life. That book every single day, that one page every single day, one chapter every single day, and not necessarily trying to cram in 17 chapters. You know, when you have that long slide from your lecturer that's got 100 slides and you want to read that the night before the exam, your brain isn't set up to do that and understand things like that. Some people are anomalies, outliers. It works for them. They pass. But is that really the way of learning? But it's really the breaking down of information. So that's what I see the growth mindset to be. Failure is not the end. I wanted to just give a personal example there. I did all my degrees at the University of the Western Cape. And in my first degree, as I sort of kind of alluded to, I'm from Zimbabwe. So my matric year, which is grade 13, sort of, covers a lot of what you do in first year at varsity. So I basically had a breeze in first year, and second year, I started to feel the pressure. My final year was very challenging. So yes, I was part of Golden Key ETC. I had an aggregate of above 67, 70%. But in the last semester of my first degree, I was doing finance and investments. I had one module that had one test and one assignment. In that one test, there was one question, 50 marks, right? So it was either you're going to do the question very well and get 90, 100%, or you do so badly, you get 0 to 10%. And that semester test, I got 8%. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I am at the final stage of my degree, final semester of my degree, and I couldn't qualify for the exam. With an aggregate of 60, 70%, that one module made me fail the entire year. So I had to repeat that one module only next year. So you can imagine the heartbreak. And I really hope no one is in a similar situation. But if you are, maybe this story of mine can give you hope. It was very difficult, to be honest. It was a tough time because being a foreign student, my parents were paying fees. You have to pay. I didn't have a bursary. It was paid from my parents. So it's an expensive process. But in that moment, I realized this has happened. I can't change it. This is what it is. The following year, I had to resolve to find a solution. And that's the time where I started the Entrepreneurship Society at UWC. So I started to coach and mentor student entrepreneurs. And in that year, I started to do business. They used to call me the Eggman, the egg student, because I was doing organic eggs that I was getting from farms, and I would sell on campus. I would sell to the restaurants on campus, developing students. And that entrepreneurship program became part of what is now an entire department at UWC, which is called the Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, to try and develop student entrepreneurs. Though I was heartbroken, in my office on the 3rd floor, I had a view of the students graduating in April. I could see them in their robes, in their attires. The eyebrows were done, the nails were done, like what Tsecho was talking about. They were looking on fleek. On fleek was the term in those days. I don't know what's the term now. They were looking good, and it was heartbreaking. But I said, this has happened, but I have to find a solution. I have to move and get forward. But out of doing that, oh, they ate. Yeah, they did. They definitely ate. Out of all that, something was developed. The entrepreneurship skill in me was enhanced, was sharpened. So I managed to go through that failure, and it had a very good outcome. I redid that module, and I got 80% pass rate. I still qualified. My certificate, which is that degree, doesn't show that on the certificate doesn't show. It does show on the transcript, but my aggregate is above 70%. But anyways, that happened. I'm here now. No one is going to ask me about what happened 10 years ago. It doesn't matter, but it taught me a lesson. And I didn't let that define me and tell me who I was. But that being said, I think it's important to also know that in life, there are going to be times where we're going to fail. In life, we are going to get situations that are difficult. They say there are things that are certain. It's either you are coming out of a storm, you are in a storm, or you are moving towards a storm. That's what life is. Life will be lifing, right? And that happens a lot. But the question is, that being said, how do you keep yourself anchored? How do you keep yourself protected? I use this example quite a lot. If you stay in an area that is prone to lightning and storms, every single building must have what is called a lightning rod. As you can see in that picture, a lightning rod is above the building. And because you know that a storm is coming, lightning is going to come, you have to make sure that there's a lightning rod, that when lightning strikes, it doesn't strike the building and the building burns, but it will strike the lightning rod, get the electric power and the current, and it goes into the ground where there's that ground rod. And it avoids to have your building destroyed and your property destroyed. My question to you is, what is your lightning rod? What is it that keeps you grounded when the storms come? We're in a time where mental health and depression is real, but what is it that helps you to recover? What is it that helps you and protects your heart, your mind, and your body? I can see some answers that are coming, and those are good answers. But we can chat a bit about that later. Then the third part, which I really wanted to talk about, is who do you keep in your circle? There's a lot of science and studies around human psychology and how we move forward and how we acclimatize to the environment. They say the closest people in your life shape the person that you become. They say if you stay around four thieves, you become the fifth one. You stay around four drunkards, you become the fifth one. You stay around four. What's a good thing? I've given negative. You stay around four smart people, you become the fifth one. So naturally, we gravitate towards what our circle does, and it's incredibly important to make sure that the people in your circle shape you for the positive way, make you and hold you accountable to your actions. I think if you can just picture in your lecture hall, this is I'm generalizing here, but typically, if I break down your lecture theater, there are people that will sit in the first 3 rows in the front. Generally speaking, those people would likely pay attention. They're likely doing their work. They are focused because they naturally sit and gravitate towards the lecturer. And then there's the middle section, which could be a mixture of both, those that are keen and might not be necessarily keen. And then there's always the crew that sits at the back, the ones that trust their intelligence so much that they might not need to take notes. The ones that sit at the back of the class that, listen, I've done this course already. It's nothing new, nothing major. And sometimes you can see if you sit in specific part of your lecture theater, your focus is actually different. If you sit in the front of the class, you're focused because you almost feel like I could be singled out. The lecturer is close to you, so your brain naturally engages. The further away you sit, again, I'm generalizing. You could be very different and you choose to sit at the back because that's what's comfortable for you. But what I'm talking about is the circles that you've got. And one thing that's really important, I use this analogy quite a lot around the selection of people that you have in your life. I always think about my life as a property, as a house, right? There is the gate. I think there are people in our lives that we should only meet at our gate. I speak to them when they're outside. I don't need to bring them close. I don't need to bring them into my yard. They're fine like that. They can stay there. And then there are people I can bring into my yard, but I can't bring them into my house. They can stay. We can talk inside. Yeah, I mean, it's valuable. I trust them sort of, kind of. They can come into my yard. Then there are people that I can bring into my house. They can sit in the lounge because I trust them at that level. We can have conversations. We can have drinks together. We can watch Springboks together. We can do things together, but they only stay in the lounge. There are people that can also come into my bedroom, my wife and my bedroom, and my wife and my bedroom. They can come and sit in that very intimate space because I trust them. And those people, when we have conversations, they are real with me. And when I'm wrong, they're like, Delfino, that was not good. Those are my people that I keep close to me. And I have a selection process of how close and how who you are and the proximity to my sphere of influence. Because if you're supposed to be an out of the gate person and I bring you into my bedroom, What is it that you're going to do? Are you not going to cause chaos and damage because I have brought you into my sphere of influence? And to you, I say, which people do you bring into your bedroom, into your personal sphere of influence? And sometimes I think we trust ourselves too much. We say, listen, these are my friends. And on a Friday or on a Thursday night where we are writing tomorrow on a Friday, the people that you have brought into your sphere of influence are the people that will say, nah, man, let's go to the club on a Friday night where you should have been preparing for your exam tomorrow. But your mistake was not going to the club. Your first mistake was bringing people that should have been outside your gate into your bedroom. Now they are negatively influencing the person that you are. So we have to be very selective of the people because they build us, they shape us, they hold us accountable, and we also hold them accountable. Yeah, I think I wanted to keep about 15 or so minutes for question and answer. Let me pause there.
Sure, that I have a lot to think about. Joel, thank you so much, Dolph, in terms of just giving us so much insight. I can very much relate to failing one module, in my honors year, and I was shattered. I remember I was in Cape Town by the beach when I found out. I was like, by the beach? You had to release my marks when I was at the beach? I had to tell my parents, and the overwhelming support was amazing. I think it's because they could see the hard work, and I think that's also what comes with the growth mindset is the people that you bring into your room will see the hard work that you're putting in. And that when you face failure, when you have that support, the right support, you'll always come out the other end. And I think sometimes failing shows us growth opportunity. I know for me, it allowed me to start working. I started working in my honors year because in the second honors year, because I had the time at the time, because I only had to focus on one module, and I volunteered, and it was great, and I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in that failure that it stops us. Like we have that fixed mindset of I failed. It's never gonna happen again. I can't do anything. It's fine. I'm gonna leave it alone. So it's awesome to just see the three different ways that we can just kind of not snap out of it, but step by step, just become a better version of ourselves. And I think including academic success, but also just in our life experiences as well. So I just wanted to say thank you before I kick off with some questions. But if you guys have questions, please put them in the Q&A section. The first question I think is addressed to me. It says, can, if possible, we please have the presentation so we can refer back to them? Definitely. So we send out the presentations and the recorded videos after the last session that we have. So we sent out the first.
I'm not sure if it's my network. Did I break off? Hi guys, can you hear me? Okay, I think she's coming back. Okay. We can see you, but you're muted, Tseho.
I didn't realize I was muted. Awesome. My internet just did its own thing. I don't know what happened. But it's fine. I'm just using my phone. But where was I? Oh, I was saying with the presentation, with the slides, and also just with the recording of the session, are not next week. Like by the end of November, you will have the last 3 parts of the master classes. So just keep a lookout for your emails. You'll see there'll be a link. We post our videos on our YouTube for you guys to access them. And we also send the presentation as well for you guys to be able to view them and refer back to them. So just keep a lookout on your emails. And if you have any questions, you can always email support, and then we can also just they can refer you back to the comms that were sent out as well. I hope I can still see the questions before I got logged out. But a few things that also people brought up, I think, especially because you asked, like, what do you go back to when you are seeking out support, and when you have experienced failure. And Rumbi said family, Kwanele said hope, Yanga said purpose, Amatle said God and family, and Reina said the goal ahead. Someone asked here, how do you know your circle is good for you?
How do you know your circle is good for you? That's a good question. Does the circle make you better, or does it make you bitter? I was about to use the line. Does your circle help you to be better? Does your circle edify you? Or there are some people that are just good to chill with, good to play with, have a good time with, but they're not people that you do life with. Because life, you need people. Tseko, you're speaking about it. The ones that in the down times they will pick you up, because you will need those people.
Yeah.
The people that will push you when you don't feel like you really want to do anything. You don't want to wake up. You don't want to study. The people that will call you at 12 midnight and say, let's go to the study, whatever it is, those people that will make you better. I think those people, or the people that will push you to your purpose. Someone was speaking about purpose. The people that will drive you towards your purpose. That's the right circle, in my opinion.
100%. And a question something that I saw randomly one day on TikTok, sorry, but it was a video, and it was like, if you hang around people and you feel stupid, like you feel like the things that you like, the things that you want to do feel stupid, that's not your group of people. Where you're constantly questioning yourself and not being met with, either reassurance or being met with, maybe this is something you need to pursue. People that challenge you in a good way. If people are challenging you in terms of your character and your being and who you are as a person, you have to question, is this the type of people I want to be around? Because you'll find that for someone else, they bring you to the bedroom, but you're like, I don't want that person to be in my bedroom.
Yeah.
So it's a very hard thing to think about, but you have to really sit and think, like, is this something that makes me better in terms of who I am? And that's why it's important to know your character and what you believe in and what you stand for. And even if you don't fully know your goals, to know that you still have ambition, that you have a purpose towards something, because not everyone knows exactly what they want to do every single day, but you need to try and figure that out before someone tries to figure that out for you.
Yeah, just to add on to that as well, there's the counter of the circle. Someone speaks about if you feel you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right? And it's also important to have friends that push you to be better in a healthy way. So just wanted to add that part too.
100%. That's why, like I said, if they're challenging you in a way that you actually have to think and be like, does this make me better? Or does it actually make me worse? Because if someone's challenging you about stealing and they're like, why don't you want to steal? Like, I don't want to go to jail. Like, I don't want to have a record. It's fine. Another, I think this was a comment. What helps me to release stress in difficult times is I go to church and I join worship sessions and cry at the altar. That is so deep. I didn't have a better word to say, but that's a very like inspirational way, because not everyone is spiritually charged and everyone has different spiritual beliefs, and looking at the spiritual aspect of your life can be very hard. So well done to you, Zinhle, to being able to reach that part of yourself. And then Rumbi was saying very insightful analogy, Delphina. I think this was in regards to the different parts that people are, in proximity to you. And then someone asked, thank you for the great insight. What other advice do you have for someone who has had the growth mindset but is growing tired of being resilient despite seeing success?
Sure. So they've been resilient, they have a growth mindset, they still see the success, but they are tired of
growing tired of being resilient.
That's a very, very interesting question. And possibly I would love to sit with that person who's anonymous and just understand a bit further why they feel they're growing tired and what exactly is the context. Because sometimes we are in a space that is not aligned to who we are, is not aligned to the purpose that we're supposed to be in. So I had a colleague that was a really good doctor, but what they wanted to do was not medicine. They wanted to go and do philanthropy work. So they were good in the medicine field, but each and every day they just really felt tired. They didn't feel inspired. But their calling wasn't something else. So it could be a spiritual, this one was spiritual calling or purpose calling, whichever way you want to phrase it. But I'd love to have a sit down with that person if they're keen. Maybe you can share my details after. I'd love to engage with that person just to have a bit more context.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'll definitely, in our post-webinar comms, in terms of if there's any additional information or if you want to reach out to any of the guest speakers, I can put that in the survey that we've sent out for the post-webinar comms for the next batch of webinar comms. So guys, just keep a lookout at that as well in your emails. I think the next few aren't necessarily questions, just comments. The last one is a question, so let me ask the question because we have 4 more minutes. Can you guys assist me or help me to grow? I like helping students in their academics by giving them tutorial sessions in my residence. How can I better myself in that? Because I love teaching and giving back to my community and at school. I would add here, but Delphina, maybe you can add first.
Sure, you can go ahead, you can start.
So in terms of us helping you, one of the ways is actually like these sessions that we have with the master classes in terms of like how you can, build yourself and build your career and your academic journey as well. But one thing I would advise for you, especially if you're on campus and you are helping students in your residence, reaching out to the tutors that you work with or the tutors in that specific module or session or whatever classes you're helping with, to reach out to them, because they are the ones that are issuing out, the surveys, the questions, things like that, and being like, hey, look, I am an academic tutor. I am just asking for assistance in terms of a lesson plan when it comes to working with the students and tutoring the students, and also just how should I approach it? Because if you're helping just from, I'm helping students in race, it can be overwhelming in the sense of this is how I study, but another person studies differently. How can I approach that? And that's why I say the best thing that you can do is reaching out to those tutors and also lecturers as well. And the reason why I say that, because that can actually open a door for you as well to give back, not just within your residence, but within your faculty as well. And people that can see the potential in what you're doing and how you're giving back to the students within your residence would be willing to invest in you, maybe even being a tutor for the next semester. But I think that would be the first step if I were in your feet, because us as Phoenix, there isn't necessarily like a plan that I can be like, this is how you should be a tutor. Here you go. But I do think the accurate steps that you can take is reaching out to the people within that faculty, within that module that you're helping people in raise with, so that you know what an accurate way is to tutor other individuals, and you might find that might open a door for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think there are, at a broader level, there are a couple of tutoring organizations, depending where you are, which university you are at, that would be willing. Because if I'm hearing you correctly, at heart, you are an educator. Organizations like Ikamva Youth have got a presence across the country. You can engage with them. There's one comment from Edgar. I don't know, and I see we have got 1 minute, who says, in times when it feels like there's no hope or light, what strategies can one implement to stay motivated? There's another person I would love to speak to, Edgar. If you're keen to just reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, Delfino Machikicho. I'll be glad to have a bit more time with that. But I think just really the question is, why are you doing what you're doing? And we can start from there. But don't lose hope, Edgar.
Guys, that is time. I just want to say big thank you to Delfino. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for giving us so much insight and being so open and even vulnerable to a certain degree in terms of your life and how you have gotten to this point. And I think that's always appreciated, so that other people can understand that, if this person has gone through this, I can go through what I'm going through as well. So I just want to say a big thank you for joining us today. A big thank you for everything that you've shared with us. And I also want to say a big thank you to the students that are here today. This is not possible without you guys. And I hope that you guys got a lot of insight, a lot of feedback, and also just getting the chance to reflect in your life in what you can implement in terms of having a growth mindset, and maybe looking at those 3 different aspects of, maybe I need to work better at being better every single day. Maybe I need to not eat a chocolate every day. That is to me. But, just having that sort of feedback and understanding that these are things that I can do in my life to have a growth mindset. So guys, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. I hope you guys have a great, great Friday. Take care of yourselves. Please be safe. I know it's Friday, but make sure that you're having safe fun and that you're not getting in trouble.
Thank you so much, Tseho, and blessings, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye, Delfino. Bye, everyone.
Bye.